Hall of Famer on Hall of Famer crime? What the heck is going on? We get into it.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby. For me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
SMH, as the kids say, I do believe. Hey, everybody, I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Darrelle Revis versus Joe Klecko. What the heck? Well, we've got the full article down below. You guys can follow along as I'm going through the story. If you're just hearing about this, here's the gist, and we're going to play the clip for you here in just a second. The wonderful Jake Asman had Joe Klecko, New York Jets legend, on his show. It's a phenomenal interview. Make sure you guys check it out on the live section of his YouTube channel. I got to see it live. It was phenomenal to hear from Joe, who, of course, is set to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, along with Darrelle Revis coming up in the first weekend of August there, which is going to be the 3rd through the 6th as the full enshrinement ceremonies, which includes the Hall of Fame game and all that jazz. And Jake Asman, as we set it up here, asked Joe Klecko, among a variety of questions that was asked during the interview, wow, what does it feel like for you to be enshrined and inducted in the same year as fellow Jets legend Darrelle Revis? And Joe Klecko gave a wonderful, tear-jerking response. Here is Joe Klecko answering that very question. Let's roll the footage.
Well, I said to him, when we were out at the Super Bowl, and I said to him, I goes, this is going to be New York West for a day. You know what I mean? And we got to sit down after. And Darrelle doesn't say a whole lot, but the one thing, first comment we had, we were doing Sirius Radio, and he said, it's really cool that Joe and I, who are the two best defensive players ever to play for the Jets, are coming in together. And I was I didn't know his mindset about us, and he didn't know much about me because it was been so long ago. I mean, I played when they didn't have face masks, so but it's cool. I mean, for him and I both, we've talked about it a little bit, and about what football has meant to either of us, and getting in the Hall of Fame, and it's really going to be cool, like you said. A lot of people haven't really mentioned that as far as the two best defensive players ever, and to say that, it's pretty good comment, and it's going to go a long way, I hope.
So let's just refresh what Joe Klecko just said. He just basically revealed a conversation with Darrelle Revis from the Super Bowl, where Darrelle Revis, during a radio joint interview with Darrelle Revis and Joe Klecko on the set, Revis called himself and Joe Klecko two of the best Jets defensive players in history. Phenomenal. Joe Klecko, by the way, was so touched by that comment, he was nearly on the verge of tears on the Jake Asman show, saying, wow, and now I'm paraphrasing and pulling, but like, wow, I can't believe Revis, a guy I've played in a different era, but he considers us on the same level. Man, that's so cool. Joe Klecko is like head over heels. This is awesome that Revis feels this way. That's what Joe Klecko said. Again, it was complimenting of Revis, all great. Except Darrelle Revis took it in a different way, I guess. All right, we're going to show you the wild tweets. Darrelle Revis went on a bit of a social media rant after this clip was shared. Again, I was kind of surprised when I saw Revis responding, because I tweeted out that clip that you just heard from the Jake Asman show. I got a bunch of clips I'm going to be sharing out, which I thought were hunky-dory, lovey-dovey. Apparently not. So here we go. Let's show this up on the screen. So I throw that video you just saw. The only part you missed is Jake Asman's question. Here's Darrelle Revis responding to that video. Quote, I don't speak to people I don't know very well. And We did not speak based on you saying you were jealous of my success at the Super Bowl. My mindset is clearly I'm at the top of that list as the best ever. But as a gentleman, I decided to say something cool for a headline. What the hell? Excuse me? What did I miss here? Darrelle Revis apparently only said that they were two of the best Jets defensive players ever because it was a nice thing to do since they were both in the same room. He said, my mindset is I'm clearly the best Jets defensive player ever. By the way, who said you weren't? I didn't hear Joe Klecko say Revis is second to me or anything. He just seemed complimentary that you guys were both on the same list that Revis apparently said. That's weird. Let's scroll down to a fan responding to that weird response by Revis saying, then don't walk it back on Twitter, which led Revis to kind of go bananas with this response. Quote, I ain't walking shit back. I said what I said. It's true what I said, but also true that I'm the best defensive player in Jets history, period. I don't even know why this is even a conversation. Huh? Zoinks? What? What the hell is Revis talking about? Joe Klecko, let's just put this out there. Revis got in first ballot. And by the way, he deserves it. First ballot Hall of Famer, unquestioned. And from everyone I've talked to, I'm a big football historian. I pride myself on the love of the game, the history of the game. From everyone I talked to, the moment that Revis retired, all the talking heads told me that it looks like he's a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer, and he was. Amen. Deserves it. One of the best cornerbacks of all time. Could argue he's the best cover corner of all time. Whatever. Go to Joe Klecko. He had a much different path, of course. For those who don't know, I could tell you the story. Joe Klecko made it on year of eligibility, number 30. Every NFL player gets a 25-year modern window. That means, of course, just like any Hall of Famer, you go through the selection process and go from this batch of players to semifinalists to finalists, blah, 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 and go through the whole thing. And Joe Klecko, in his 25 years on the modern ballot, never made it in as a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So then he's thrown into a big logjam of all the old guys that slipped through the cracks. The only reason Joe Klecko made it in now, as he's going to be enshrined here in a handful of weeks, is because of the senior committee, which started off with a list of 127 people, and the responsibility of the senior committee was to fix the logjam of guys that were long overdue, that deserved to be in, and ultimately they got their way in. In Joe Klecko's case, they went from a list of 127 people to 3. He was one of those lucky 3 finalists that ultimately will be enshrined in Canton. So, I think Klecko is just happy that he's in, regardless of whether it's year 30 or year number 1. No one's debating who's the best or best not ever. I think, quite frankly, these are just two guys that are best of their eras. Obviously, I think they're both considered among the best defensive players of all time. You could put Revis in that category. We're talking about completely different positions, so we get into this pissing contest of arguing about who, what, when, where, how. 3 different Pro Bowl positions for Joe Klecko, 3 different All-Pros, getting the sack numbers back because the sack stat wasn't a stat till 82, but they went back and gave Klecko this, the 20 and a half sacks in terms of an official NFL statistic. So we've gone through the whole rigmarole here of Klecko getting his rightful due. I just don't understand Revis being this, I don't even know what else to call him, an egotistical maniac saying, hey, I'm the best ever and everyone's got to say it, but no one was questioning it. Klecko was just being a nice guy saying, man, I am so heartfelt touched by what Revis said. And Revis said, I'm glad you were heartfelt touched by it, but I didn't even mean it in a heartfelt touch way. I only said it just to say it. Whoa, what the hell, man? And quite frankly, it kind of puts a damper. Let me compare it to this. For folks who don't know, I'm a big Rush Hour fan. You know the movie with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan? I've been a big fan of the series. It ended up being 3 movies. If you haven't seen it, watch it. But the point is that after I watched Rush Hour, the trilogy, right? I saw Jackie Chan do an interview after Rush Hour 3, and he was asked about the series. Wow, man, how was it? And he's like, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really get the jokes, and it was whatever. That's what he said. And me as a diehard Rush Hour fan went, oh, man, that sucks. Knowing that information now, every time I rewatch Rush Hour, I'm kind of like, oh, man, he didn't even like it, and he was in the movie. It takes a little, it takes a little bit of the luster away, so to speak. Let's go to this. We have the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony coming up here in a bunch of weeks, which I'm hoping to be at, okay? And now I hear that Revis and Klecko are beefing. I don't even think it's Klecko versus Revis. I just think it's Revis versus Klecko. Although Revis said that Klecko told him at the Super Bowl he was quote unquote jealous of his success, which Revis apparently took as a personal affront. But that puts a damper on it. I'm looking forward to this epic weekend where, and it's beyond the weekend, obviously. You have the Hall of Fame game. You have Revis, a modern candidate going in. Joe Klecko, long overdue, going in at the same time. This should be the ultimate Super Bowl party before the season for Jet fans to say, hey, 2023 is going to be magical with Aaron Rodgers and everybody else. And now there's a damper on it. There's a dark cloud hanging over the festivities of, whoa, these guys may be hunky-dory in a couple of photos, but everything that Revis just said on social media seems to suggest that, like, there's no love lost between these two, and that hurts, man. That stings. That sucks. That's going to, unless it's clarified and fixed in the next bunch of weeks, I would imagine not. Revis, after this rant and back and forth with people on Twitter, said, I can't wait to have my own podcast, TBD. I don't know what that means. Maybe telling some other side of the story, apparently. But I just have to say that, man, if you guys are just hearing about this Revis Klecko story, again, full details in the article down below, but I am just kind of a sad Jets fan today. It's kind of sad. We have these two guys beefing. They should be happy. They're both going to the Hall of Fame. This is a joyous occasion for the fans, Revis's family, Klecko's family, the organization as a whole. Like, it should be all good times. We should be all celebrating, not fighting. What are we fighting about? That's just my take here. And again, just kind of a sad note. Darrelle Revis calling out Joe Klecko in this crazy rant for seemingly no reason. But maybe we'll get a different side of the story before all this is said and done. Make sure you guys like the video. Hit subscribe down below for more insightful New York Jets content with live streams, quick videos like this, and everything in between. We always appreciate your support, everybody. And hopefully these two can figure it out ahead of the Hall of Fame ceremonies. Thanks for tuning in.